Hi, boys and girls. Shout out to Joshua, who completed about 5 or 6 missing assignments all in one night. So thank you for realizing that you have missing work and it's better to do it now, better to do it whenever you can. Anyone else who has missing work, feel free to turn it in at any time. More importantly, do it on time so you don't have to do so much all in one night. But thanks. I appreciate it. And P.S. I'm looking forward to the haunted house tomorrow night. Yay. All right, so writing equations for proportional relationships. All right, when we're writing these equations, it's really the same exact way that we've always been writing equations. The only difference is we're always going to have that 0, 0. Okay? Remember that 0, 0, when x is 0, this y here is the y-intercept. Our y-intercept for proportional is always 0. So when we write our equations, we have y equals kx. Again, k is that constant of proportionality. So constant of proportionality, which is the same as our slope. Okay, so what's the change in y? Plus 3, plus 3, plus 3. Our change in x is plus 1, plus 1, plus 1. So our k, or our slope, is 3 over 1. So our equation is just y equals 3x. You could say plus 0, but you don't need to have that because that's not going to change anything. If you're adding 0, it's not changing anything. You could have also found slope by doing, so k can also be found by doing your y divided by x, but this only works when it's proportional. If I were you, I would stick with defining the change in y, dividing that by the change in x. So the change in y divided by change in x. This ratio thing only works when it's proportional. Okay. So here's another one. Now we don't see the 0, 0 here, but that's okay. We write our equations the same way. Now we should know, if we're talking about dogs, the number of paws they have, unless we have a poor little puppy who has an unfortunate scenario. Usually they're in proportion. So here we're adding 8, we're adding 2, adding 8, adding 2. So our slope is 8 divided by 2, which is equal to 4. We don't see our y-intercept, so we go backwards. So we subtract 2. 2 minus 2 gets us to 0. We only have to do this once. 8 minus 8 gets us to 0. So our y-intercept is 0, 0. So b is equal to 0. So our equation is y equals 4x plus 0, or just y equals 4x. It's the same thing that we've been doing. If you recognize this as a proportion, because we know that 8 divided by 2 and 16 divided by 4 and 24 divided by 6 all equal 4, so it's proportional. We have a constant ratio, y divided by x, then you can just do y equals kx. Again, I would just stick with the same way we've been doing it before. Nothing changes except that this is a special type of linear relationship where the y-intercept is always 0. The graphs stay the same also. So slope to it here would say puff, puff, positive, so our slope is positive. Okay, our run, we're going from 0 to 1 is 1. Our rise from 0 to 2 is 2. So our slope is 2 over 1, which is 2. Our y-intercept, well, it crosses the y-axis here at 0. So our equation is just y equals 2x plus 0, which is y equals 2x. We know this is proportional because it goes through the origin. So our y-intercept is 0. All right, the speed of the sloth. I know you're all wondering about this. So we have our change in y, or our rise is 3, and our run is 1. So our slope is equal to 3 over 1, which is 3. And our y-intercept crosses the y-axis here at 0, so that 0 is 0. So our equation is y equals 3x plus 0, which is the same as y equals 3x. Nothing has changed. The only thing that is slightly different here is that this is a special kind of relationship where the y-intercept is always 0. And that's easier than in real life to find, well, what's the speed of the sloth going to, or what's the distance of the sloth going to be after 25 minutes? It's easier to figure out than when your y-intercept is 0 than when it's not 0. All right, so here are the questions for this first one here. So for number 1, I'd like you to write the equation to model this table. And then number 2 here, Which of these represents a proportional relationship and why? How do you know it's proportional? All right, last thing here is I want to talk about how do we graph these equations. So now, if you're given the equations, let's say we're given the equation y equals x. Okay, this looks funky. I know you're probably all sitting there saying, what does that mean, y equals x? It's actually the easiest one that we can ever do. The slope is 1, and our y-intercept is 0. There's two ways that we could graph this. Well, a couple of ways. One way, we can make a table, x, y. When x is 0, you input your x is 0 into the equation over here. So 1 times 0 plus 0 gives us 0. We could input 1. 1 times 1 is 1 plus 0 is 1. X is 2. 1 times 2 plus 0 is 2. When x is 3, 1 times 3 is 3 plus 0 is 3. And then you can plot them. Okay, 2, 2. 3, 3. The other thing we can think of is you start with your y-intercept. Remember, that's our starting point. So that means we're going to start here at 0 on the y-axis. The slope is our rise over our run. So this is like 1 over 1. So that means we have to go up 1 and over 1 to get to our next point. We would have this little staircase there. Then we'd go up 1 and over 1 to get to our next point. Then we'd go up 1 and over 1 to get to our next point. Okay? Over 1, up 1 to get to our next point. We'd keep doing this little staircase here to get to our next point. So here's our line. I know that's not very straight, but you get the point. So you can either make a table using the equation, or you can just start with your y-intercept and use your ratio of rise to run. So get another one. Let's not say we have y equals negative 2x. Okay. So what's our y-intercept? We don't see anything here, so that means our y-intercept is 0. So we start here at 0. What would slope dude say? Slope dude would say here's negative, so that means our line's going to fall. It's going to go down. So that means that we're going from here, we're going down 2 over 1. This is our staircase here. Down 2 over 1. Down 2 over 1. Down 2 over 1. So here are our points. This was 2 over 1, and slope dude would say nice negative, so we're going down. And then it would kind of continue up this way too. If you don't like that way, you make a table. Negative 2 times 0 plus 0 is 0. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2, plus 0 is negative 2. 2 times negative 2 is 4, plus 0 is negative 4. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6, plus 0 is negative 6. Okay, and then you could plot those points because these are ordered pairs here, 0, 0, 1, negative 2. Okay, so we're going to do this quickly tomorrow morning for your warm-up. Okay, you can use either method you like. All right, have a good night.